The oil war has begun. Welcome back to Poplar Preparedness, folks. We're going to be talking about what's going on, particularly over in Europe, with energy, with natural gas. A lot of you have already heard, of course, of the Nordstream 1 and 2 pipelines being sabotaged, massive explosions ripped through the concrete that surrounds the steel of those things. I mean, we're talking like torpedoes, or we're talking about sabotage charges. We're not talking about some small type of explosion. We're not talking about a spark that ignited the gas in the pipeline. We're talking about a purposeful weapon of war that was used against these pipelines. And 3 separate places were exploded, and we're talking about major fallout from that. Not just the Nord Stream 1 though, not just the Nord Stream 2, but we are talking about major movements in the natural gas and oil industries over in Europe. 6 Norwegian gas platforms were buzzed by unidentified drones, okay? And we're talking about these drones were not civilian models. We're not looking at just cameras, on a little mini drone. We're talking about offshore platforms well out at sea. One of these drones came within 50 meters of the platform. You're not allowed to fly near these platforms, and we're talking about not a personal drone. Like, that's just not possible out there. We're talking about heavy drones. And these drones buzz these platforms as what appears to be a clear threat. Now, whether this is actually by Bear Country doing this, or whether this was potentially a kind of false flag by someone else, but these Norwegian platforms, as well as the other Norwegian gas harvesting system, is the major supplier of natural gas to Europe now. With the Nord Stream 1 and 2 destroyed, this is a very clear threat that not only the pipelines from Bear Country all the way to Europe, but also the energy infrastructure that is still feeding Europe are being threatened. I think that a lot of people are not fully grasping the seriousness of the situation in Europe. Is that NATO sees this as, let's poke the bear, let's try to bring them down a few notches, let's try to whittle down their forces, let's put them in their place. But Bear Country sees this as an existential threat to themselves. They've said so repeatedly that this is a war for their survival, and they are not going to take things lying down. And all European and American infrastructure and assets are considered fair game. I mean, we pretend like we're not at war, but Bear Country has very clearly stated that they understand that they are at war with NATO. That is how things exist right now. And so NATO infrastructure, energy infrastructure, power plants, everything like that, as they've said, are fair game. They are fair game. You cannot interfere in a war like what we have been doing and not be considered a participant of that. And so could natural gas facilities across Europe be attacked, refineries, by sabotage or by strikes? Possibly. Will that escalate things? Oh, it will escalate things for sure. But they've just called up, as we're hearing reports, of 1.2 million conscripts and reservists have been called up over in Bear Country. We're not talking about a small mobilization. We're talking about a major mobilization. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, they can't actually fight. They're not very good at fighting. They have taken a large portion of Eastern Europe away, and they are continuing to gain ground, and they will continue to gain ground. They're winning. I don't care how much media consumption you have. bear country is winning in Eastern Europe. They are. Boots on the ground, they are winning. And with another, as has been pointed out, if you haven't already seen, I don't usually recommend other videos, but Canadian Prepper has an amazing interview that just came out as of this video coming out like 9 hours ago. Definitely worth to watch. It's an interview where talking about what's going on over with Europe, and they're absolutely right. It's an existential threat. But what they are saying is that they were told, they're being told 300,000 conscripts and reservists being called up. Actually, they're just saying reservists, but in actuality, 1.2 million conscripts and reservists have been called up. That's a lot more than what they're saying, 4 times larger than what they're saying. And why are they hiding how many people they're calling up? This is a major preparation for, it would seem the reservists may be going straight in, and the conscripts will be going for training and preparation to do support roles and everything like that. And it seems like most of them are going to be heading into Eastern Europe or to be working in other places to prepare for the defense of their country. They are in not panic mode, but they are in war mode. And here in the United States and Europe, people are going about things like it's their day-to-day, normal, everyday lives. And this is not the reality of what's going on in Eastern Europe. In addition to that, Hurricane Ian has now shut down 11% of U.S. oil production in the Gulf, which is a major source of oil for the United States. 11% of the platforms and oil production has been shut down in order to prepare for the storm's arrival. How many of those will be back operational? How many of the refineries will be back operational after the storm passes? That remains to be seen, to see what kind of damage is done. Europe is now declaring that they will have that they're proposing new sanctions on bear country, particularly on their gas and oil. That is big news as well. They're going to go after anyone who is buying that oil on the international market. How much of that is going to go after dragon country companies and such like that remains to be seen. We're seeing more and more protests in Europe to the oil and the gas policies they're being put in place. Tens of thousands just the other day were marching in Prague, protesting the energy crisis and demanding the government resign. Slovakia, people marching in the streets demanding the government resign. And the night before the sabotage explosions on the Nordstream gas pipeline, there were mass protests in Gera, Germany, protesting the shutdown of the Nordstream and demanding that they reopen the Nordstream pipeline and import bear country gas. Of course, we see the big election that just went down in Italy. Big election just went down in Sweden, and we're seeing that, let's just say, the wrong people are winning, according to the European Union. The people that are not on board with this conflict between the European Union and bear country. That they're saying that, we can't afford this. That we need to focus in on protecting ourselves and protecting the livelihoods of millions and millions of Europeans, and realizing that our leadership have caused this crisis in Eastern Europe. They have provoked bear country. They have moved to get bear country to a place where they have to respond for their national security. And the I keep saying this, the United States would have done exactly the same, except it would have done faster and much more aggressively. If any of this had been done to Mexico or to Canada along our border. If anyone had moved into our sphere of influence and done this kind of stuff that we've done, we would absolutely respond. And to say that that bear country ought not respond is morality on a national political stage is it's an interesting thing to talk about, but there is the realities out there as well. If you've studied any European history, you're familiar with the concept of balance of power. Well, bear country said, we need to have some protection. We need to have some sort of balance of power here. And the United States and NATO have been for so long the sole power in the world that they cannot comprehend the possibility of having to respect anyone else. We think that somebody has weapons of mass destruction, so we just invade their country. And everyone else in the world stands back and claps and sends a few troops. We don't like what's happening in Afghanistan. We invade. And we don't like what's happening in Libya, so we invade. We don't like what's happening here, we invade. We drop bombs from 50,000 feet up in the air on civilians, and nobody says anything because, Yemen, who cares about Yemen? Who cares about Somalia? Who cares about all these places that the United States has just unilaterally just gone into and just done everything that they want to do? And now they're being told there are certain countries and certain areas of the world that are off limits. That if you want to work in there, you got to come to an agreement with bear country or dragon country. And that's where we're moving. We're moving into this multipolar world where there needs to be this balance of power. And if there isn't, these other countries are going to feel like they are under existential threat. Who's to say that we will stop attacking when we get done with Eastern Europe? And now we have our missiles right on their border. Who's to say that we won't start destabilizing bear country territories? And that's where they are. They are feeling absolutely under threat and attack, and they are taking things very, very seriously, deadly seriously. And here in the West, we aren't. And we don't realize that for us it's a game. For them, this is war. It is a war for their very survival. Whether right or wrong, that's how they're perceiving it. And we need to understand that desperate people do desperate things. All right, folks, if you found this video to be useful, helpful, you might want to check out this other video from me right here. Otherwise, I will see you later. Steve Poplar out.